first, tell us your name.
Yeah. I'm Krista. I've been an intern and a volunteer here at Hootern.
Right. And how did you first hear about Hootern?
Actually, I was probably about 7 or 8 when I first heard about Hootern. It was at the Boone County Fair, when we still went out to the Boone County Fair. I met Steven, and they had the ostrich egg out. Yeah, so I actually met him first, and I had a brochure from Hootern in my desk in grade school for years, and then finally I ended up coming out when I was old enough.
So, how long have you volunteered in?
Okay. Yeah, I've been out here for between 6.5 and 7 years. I can't remember the exact month I started. It was in winter, so we're coming up on 7 years this winter.
And how many times have you interned?
I've interned twice, so that's a total of 6 months living on the property, and then I've come back to help start the internship every summer since then, so 2 more summers of starting out.
Right, and so what does being a Who intern entail?
It's basically just a lot of commitment. It's being here all day, every day, and being here on call when we have intakes. It's a lot of waiting for babies to need to be fed, and a lot of medical treatments, rehab. We do the physical therapy throughout the day for several of the animals, and then if there's anything that we need to do all day long in time increments, again, feeding babies, it's a lot of that. So part of it is just being here when something needs to be taken care of, being here when we need to do intakes. It's also a lot of projects. So we do a lot of deep cleaning projects around the facility. We'll do a bit of decorating projects and stuff like that too, and working with the birds, of course. So every intern should get 1 or 2 animals to train, and yeah, so we do work with the animals as well. Okay.
Why did you start volunteering?
Yeah. So I was looking for something to do with animals. Animals are always my passion, and it was after my first dog had recently passed away, so I was just kind of looking for something to fill a void a little bit. I also wanted to get some volunteer work before I went off to college, so it was part of that as well, and then I just kind of fell in love. I ended up staying out here for the long term.
So what is your favorite thing about volunteering at Who?
Favorite thing? I think it's a lot of, you get to kind of see the unique personalities of each type of animal, and it kind of gives you a more personal connection with nature. I've definitely learned some of the idiosyncrasies of some of the birds and some of the mammals that we get out here. They've all got weird quirks, and I don't know, just kind of, for lack of a better word, humanizes nature for us. So I think that it's definitely helped me build a better relationship with the natural world.
So, obviously, a better relationship with nature would be one of them, but what other benefits do you think you get from volunteering out here?
You definitely learn a good work ethic, really off the bat. You can't really run here if you don't get down hands and knees scrubbing every once in a while. You also, good connection with nature is a good one. And I think that some of the personal relationships you develop with both the animals and the people can be really special as well.
And how about as an intern? Do you think you get different benefits in your internship than from a regular volunteer?
Yeah, definitely with the internship, it's more of a crash course. You kind of get thrown to the wolves a little bit. It's a lot more hands-on all the time, and it requires a bit more endurance. There are definitely a lot of times, especially during my first internship, I was the only intern out here, and there were a lot of times where it would get kind of rough, get a little bit difficult, and sometimes you'd be out here alone for almost every day, and that would get a little rough as well. But I think that the internship, it definitely builds character. It can be hard. You definitely have to go in knowing that you're going to be working, and you're going to be working hard every day, and you're going to have to give it your all every day. Otherwise, what are you there for?
So what you're saying is this is not the place for people who don't like to get dirty.
This is not the place for people who don't like to get dirty. It's not the place for people who don't like to take risks. And it's not the place for people who don't like animals. So we get a lot of animals. You also have to be very ready for mosquitoes. Lots of mosquitoes. Bring your bug spray.
So, what are you studying in school?
Yeah, I'm a fish, wildlife, and conservation biology major with a concentration in conservation at Colorado State University. Yeah, so I'm going into my senior year now and working on my senior thesis, which is actually about crows and public perceptions with corvids and how that influences how we treat them in our management plans and how we treat them in our day-to-day. So like the whole farmers shooting crows and all the different mechanisms to control crow populations around crops, and I'm kind of looking at that for my senior thesis.
Very cool. So is that why you chose to intern at Who, because of your field of interest for college?
Who Haven kind of formed my field of interest. Since I started when I was 14, I was pretty much looking for something, somewhere to go with the rest of my life. And I don't think I'd be in the major now if I wasn't at Who. I think that Who Haven can definitely help foster a love of animals and a love of nature. It is basically where I grew up a little bit, and it's where I kind of turned into who I am.
Okay. So I would think maybe some of the crows, but any favorite animals that you've worked with while you were here?
Yeah, I definitely love the crows. Crows are my number one. Baby crows, twinkle toes, our educational crow. Yeah, definitely the crows. I also loved the barred owls. Like, they're just so sweet, and they have a weird, like, good nature about them that you wouldn't expect until one hits you in the back of the head. Yeah.
That's always a fun experience.
Yeah, they do like to dive bomb. Yeah, and I also, the pelicans. I loved Broccoli. She was our educational pelican, one of them, before she passed away a while ago. And yeah, I think it's a lot of the personal relationships you form with the animals kind of form which ones become your favorites. Because I don't think crows would necessarily have been my favorite if Twinkle Toes hadn't been around, or and
yeah, he is a unique bird.
yeah, he is something. We did have Mowgli, who was a little bit more of a terrorist. But
I've heard about him. I was not here at that point, but I've heard about Mowgli.
Yeah. If Mowgli had been my only experience of crows, it might have been a little different. So it definitely depends on your personal interactions with the animals, how you form relationships, and what really turns into your favorite.
So what are some of the things that you've learned from your internship?
Perseverance is a big one. Yeah, so you really have to have a stick-to-it attitude. It definitely helped form a lot of my work ethic, too. Even at, like, other jobs in the food service, I've noticed that I tend to work a little harder scrubbing things. Yeah, so it definitely helped form my work ethic. It also really creates a knowledge base about wildlife and even about like plant life and animals and interactions in ecosystems. And a lot of my classwork has helped supplement that, but I think I started with a good baseline of just understanding wildlife and understanding behavior especially.
Yeah, I know. I've actually learned quite a bit about animals that
Yeah.
I've never really considered. Yeah, I was never a big bird person before starting out.
Really?
And
Oh,
that's so much of what we get here.
I was always a bird person.
Yeah, I was always more mammals and reptiles and amphibians,
Yeah.
and I've never really... Birds are the annoying things that chirp outside my window in the morning and wake me up, which
Yeah.
I'm not terribly appreciative of. So birds were never really... My thing was like, okay, yeah, raptors are cool, but, you know, I'd never really paid any real attention to them. And then since starting here, I mean, I've learned so much about, especially about birds, obviously, because we do so many of them, but just about all kinds of different animals.
Yeah. There's really a great learning curve here. I think that, it comes with a lot of the interaction with the animals, and I think that it's really interesting to see animal behavior, even though it's kind of in a simulated environment, because we do try to make it as natural as possible. We're still humans walking into a cage with a bird of prey, but you can still see the natural responses, especially with the eagles. They give a really good natural response.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'll tell you to back up. Yeah, so I think it's really cool to see the animal behavior aspect of it, because you do really get an inside look in it, and I don't think that you necessarily get that in a traditional education.
Right. So, what are some of the coolest things that you've gotten to do as an intern?
Yeah, I'd say the coolest, and was actually, the coolest was actually a road trip I took to Pennsylvania with Snuggles the duck. We went to get him basically a brace that kind of worked as a prosthetic so that he could use a wheelchair that was made by a local machinery company. It was about a 2-week road trip of me and a duck in my car. I run like a laundry basket in the passenger seat, and I actually picked up my grandma about halfway through and took her to Pennsylvania. She lived in Ohio, so it was my grandma, a duck, and me on a road trip, and it was really cool to go out and to interact with the people at the Brace place. They were really, really sweet, and they actually, after Snuggles passed away, they planted a tree in his honor. So that's
sweet.
That was really sweet to hear that they did that, and they loved him, and he was kind of like a little celebrity. He went to my grandparents' 50th anniversary party, which is why I was heading out that way. He was an extra tag along, and ended up working out that way. So yeah, that was definitely the coolest, and it was really cool to see the support that even like a small duck could get, because he kind of bolstered the troops a little bit around him.
Yeah, I remember seeing all the pictures of your trip as they were getting posted to Who's Facebook, and it was, and the website, and it was just really cool to see the community kind of rally around this little duck.
Well, not even just the community, the people that we met along the way, too. I mean, he had people from, like, Pennsylvania. I think we met a couple from Virginia that he got a picture with, and, like, every time we stopped at a rest stop, he was just the biggest thing there. So, yeah, he was a good little celebrity.
Well, it's probably not every day that you meet,
Duck in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had a lot of personality, too. He was a sassy little thing. My grandma walked alongside the bed in a hotel we were staying in, and he did not enjoy that. She came a little too close to me, and he almost, like, bounced out of the basket trying to get her. Yeah, he ended up being, like, very protective of me after that road trip, and
you guys had plenty of time to bond in the 2-week road trip.
Yeah, just staring at each other's faces in a car. Yeah.
So, did anything about being an intern surprise you? Was there anything that when you kind of went into it you weren't really expecting, and then it happened? And
the road trip was definitely unexpected. That was I think it kind of surprises you week by week. We definitely get a lot of variation in what we get in, and there's always something new. It's always a learning curve. You never know anything. Even if you've been here for 20 years, you never know everything. And I definitely got to see a lot of the inner workings and a lot of the behind the scenes, the vet visits and all that, and I think surprising, as for surprising, I'd say, I think the surprising would be the variation, really. Would be just how different it is every single week. And every day, something different's coming in. We're doing something different. And it's just kind of fastball all the time. Yeah.
Right. And what about the hardest thing about being an intern? What would you say that is?
I'd say the hardest thing is kind of losing the animals. Because we don't have a 100% success rate. No one has a 100% success rate. Even the best doctors in the world don't have a 100% success rate. And I think the hardest thing is when something's doing really, really well and you're doing everything you can for it. You're doing the physical therapy, you're doing the medical treatments, and then one day you walk in and it's just, Another really hard thing is making that decision, helping to be a part of that decision process, because that is also part of the internship. You get a lot closer look at the day-to-day of each animal. Mm-hmm. So as you're seeing the progress or the lack of progress, Karen really does tend to ask our opinion on what we think the outcome should be, and being part of that decision-making process when it's, do we keep doing this, even if it's just prolong the inevitable, or do we just accept what's going to happen with the animal? So that's definitely the hardest, would be the emotional aspect of it.
I would assume, I mean, it's hard enough when it's your pet, you know, but somewhere out here where you're trying to rehabilitate it, be able to release it to the wild, and you're working so hard trying to fix whatever's going on. And I mean, they're not your pets, obviously, but you almost start to feel toward them like they are.
Yeah, you feel very strongly. Because
you just spend so much time with them.
Yeah, you start to feel very strongly for the animals we have out here. And it is difficult to see, like, a beautiful animal and know that the outcome's not going to be what you want, like any of the birds of prey or anything like that. It's really difficult to see, like, something, like, that should be, like, so healthy and so vibrant, and just knowing that there's not a lot you can do for it anymore. Yeah. So that is the hardest part.
Okay, and would you recommend being either a volunteer or intern at Who to others? And
Oh yeah, definitely. I 100% recommend Hoo Haven. It's definitely a place where you can get a lot of personal growth. It can be difficult sometimes, and I think that you grow a lot through how difficult it is. It can be physically challenging, it can be emotionally challenging, and it can be mentally challenging. And it really kind of pushes your boundaries. And it helped me grow as a person throughout my time in high school and all the internships I've been to. I don't think I'd be necessarily the same person if I hadn't been at Hoo Haven. As for interning or volunteering, I would definitely recommend volunteering if you can fit it into your schedule, and if you're dedicated and you can really commit the time and the effort into the internship, I would definitely recommend the internship, especially for college students if you're looking for something to kind of bolster your resume or even looking for something to give you some experience. The internship is a great way to do that. You learn a lot and you get to meet a lot of professionals in the field, like DNR agents and veterinarians, and you get a lot of personal hands-on experience that's really valuable when you're going into a vet field or fish and wildlife field.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the
Yeah,
time
of
to do
course.
this. I know you're headed back to school soon.
Yeah.
So.
Back to Colorado. It's a long road trip.
Well, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Krista.